has failed to address the deer problem. We have failed to address it for very good reason. It's a very sensitive issue. And I was on the board, and I think you were on the board the last time, maybe Bill was on the board the last time we actually did address it. I know Jack was around, where there were decisions made to do something with regard to the deer, to cull the deer. If my recollection is correct, it was very divisive. You know, in the village. It caused a lot of problems.
And then 2 years later, we had the same amount of deer.
And people, you know, some were vehemently opposed to it, and others were absolutely elated that it was getting done and that something was finally
We
being
had
addressed.
slideshows, remember, Michael?
Yeah, it was a very difficult time. But there is no question that the deer are a problem here. So what are the solutions? One solution is some people have put up deer fences. Now, there's some people in the community that don't like the deer fences. But there are other people in the community who love their deer fences because they love their property in a more pristine fashion, okay? And I think we need to respect their interests as much as those who aesthetically think that the deer fences are inappropriate.
But this proposal doesn't ask to eliminate.
I know, well, here's what
deer
it does do, though. What it does do is it says that I can't put up a deer fence. Now, I recognize I can't legally, I could never legally do it, but we turned a blind eye towards it. And we allowed people to do it regularly. Okay, there's no question about that. We're kidding ourselves if we suggest that we didn't do that. After we pass this ordinance, I can no longer put up a deer fence. I may want to. Now, I personally don't want to, but some resident may want to. Some future resident may want to. Why should some residents have the right to continue to have their deer fence, their illegal deer fence up, when others can't erect an illegal deer fence, when they have just as much of an interest in protecting their woodlands as the person who we're allowing to do it? I don't think that that's fair. I think that that violates some fundamental principles.
But
there.
isn't that why we're going to discuss the ordinance?
Well, that's what we're doing right now. We're having a dialogue.
Sure
So
we
I'm
are.
just trying to explain to you what my thoughts are.
This is not final.
So
Ready for first reading.
I would like to think maybe outside the box. I think if there's another way to address the deer problem, which maybe is short of culling, and also, you know, helps these people who have these deer fences, who we want to potentially take down ultimately, recognize that the removal of the deer fence is not going to destroy that which they've worked so hard to correct. Now, this may be the most far-fetched concept in the world, but is there a possibility that the perimeter of the village could be fenced?
I would hate that.
So as to hate something which we don't even know if it could even be done, number one.
Right.
And we never have any studies done, but, you know, maybe a fence could be put along the river, you know, which would stop some migration of deer into the village as a whole. Now, it's a possibility. Maybe it's completely insane. I don't know, but we haven't.
It's close.
Okay, we haven't looked at that. We haven't looked at that concept, and maybe it's something that should be studied. But I think when we all realize, and I think we all realize, I shouldn't speak for everyone, but when it appears to me that we all realize that the problem is not really the fence, the problem is the deer, but we're addressing the fence, we're doing something wrong, you know? We're putting the cart before the deer. It's not appropriate. We should be trying to address the fundamental problem here as opposed to the symptom, which is the fence. So, you know, I for one am really not, knowing how hard the Plan Commission worked on this ordinance, you know, I recognize that, but I for one am not really comfortable yet with passing something like this when we really haven't addressed the problem.
I agree. As a matter of fact, amazingly, I agree with almost everything you said. For me,
It's a first.
I know it's a first. That's why I said that. For me, jumping straight to the fence ordinance is taking things out of order. If there's a lot of fences going up, there's a reason that a lot of fences are going up, and I think we need to look at the reason. I would prefer that we approach things and see if we can do anything about making it so that people didn't need or want to put fences up.
How do you do that?
You kill all the
Well,
dog.
one of the things that Mike said is, I think we need to recognize, okay, for at least some in the village, we have a deer problem. So we have to make some choices, and I think we need to talk about those. We have to decide, okay, do we have a deer problem with overbrowse, and do we have it throughout the village? Is it only in one area? And do we want to manage the deer? Maybe we don't. Maybe we do. And if we do want to manage the deer, then what are our options? Like Mike said, maybe one of our options is put a big fence up along the river. You know, we've never looked at that. I actually heard that from some experts as a possibility. I don't know what the cost would be. I don't know how viable that alternative is. But I think we have to approach this issue head on. And the Port Plan Commission was asked to consider an issue that was specifically directed toward fences, and I think they did a good job at that. But I think really that the board should have talked about this big issue staring us in the face before we even got to that.
Which is?
Which is, do we have a deer problem? And if we do, then what, if anything, do we want to do about it? What are our options?
Let me throw in one more statement that Marty Jokes made when he was here. He said if you killed all the deer in Riverwoods but one, that one deer could cause massive predation. I forgot how many pounds of leaves he said a deer could eat in a day.
7 months.
So, okay, 7 pounds. He said that one deer would cause as much predation, not as much, but could cause such massive predation that your people who want deer fences up would still insist on deer fences. And were there to be only one deer there.
Can I just clarify that statement?
Yeah.
What he said was in a specific spot.
I was going to say that.
Yeah.
So I think you need to
Right.
not take
If
his
it's
words
your
out of
garden, if it's your
context.
garden,
If it's
It's
your
your-
forest.
Right,
Okay.
so it's one particular spot, it's not, one deer is
But that
not,
deer can't be everywhere.
can't be
every day.
everywhere.
Right,
No,
everywhere
he
all the
can't.
time. And
Okay.
that's part of the question I think we need to answer.
please.
And, well, part of the question I think we need to answer along with that, is this a village-wide issue, or is this a South Riverwoods issue?
Okay, may I speak now? This was, to me, a compromise. It was a compromise really for not the people who wanted to protect the woodlands, in my opinion, as much as the people like the Hollanders and the Colts and the other people who have the really nice gardens, have had their fences up for a long time. And this was my feeling that I wanted to get out and protect people like this. As far as I'm concerned, the people who put up the deer fences in the last 2 years should take them down, but that's my opinion. One of the things that strikes me is your own report that states that Lot 1, which is Patterson Woods, doesn't have a deer fence, doesn't have any protection at all, and the understory is wonderful, and everything about the property is good.
No, that's not right.
Well-
That's not an accurate reflection of the report. It said that Lot 1,
It's in pretty good shape.
no, I think you're talking about Rittenberg, actually, Bill.
No, I'm talking about Lot 1.
No, Lot 1 had a lot of invasives. Moneywort was pervasive in Lot 1, and it's a sort of a ramshackle woodland. It's not like the hickory oak forest that surrounds the village hall.
Well, the hickory oak forest that surrounds Village Hall is something that, this has never been an oak forest. It's never been an oak forest. It's a maple forest. It's always been a
It's
maple
not
forest.
true.
That's not true either.
We'll get there. But in the meantime, when you look at the fences, all the fences, 98% of the fences are in South Riverwoods.
Right, that's correct. I think that's correct.
And
And it
again,
tends
this to me was